What day is it? Lasagna day. When you want to put the lasagnas in your face. Spinach is a magical creature that shrinks in size when you get it warm. So try not to put too much in your pan at once. And when you do, it's okay because it keeps getting smaller the more you cook it. And then give it a little bit of salt so that all the juices come out. And then reduce off all the juices. And then strain it so that you can get even more of the juice out. That way you won't have soup instead of lasagna. The other thing you want to do is make sure that your Bolognese sauce is properly reduced. If you're planning on freezing them for a while, I strongly suggest cooling your ingredients first so you don't have this giant hot pan full of stuff that has to cool before you can freeze it. Next, we mix a cheese. So, cottage cheese, 1 kilogram. You can use half ricotta if you like. That's pretty good too. Next, add in 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, half a teaspoon of chili flakes, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 cup of Parmesan Reggiano. And then we mix. Slappy, 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 slappy. If you're like me and you hate cleaning, these tinfoil trays are great. They're especially great if you want to freeze lasagna and then, have lasagna for dinner one day when you don't have to make lasagna, which is pretty much the best way to have lasagna. So that's why I usually make at least 2, sometimes 12. Actually, I've never done that. That's a lie. Also, on a side note, if you happen to be able to find a lasagna that's the same size as your trays, it makes your life a lot easier because you don't have to break every piece that you put in. Okay, and now we layer. Unfortunately, I don't know how to make pasta. But I make videos soon about how. In order to spell lasagna correctly, in your head you must pronounce it Lasagna. This is a particular type of lasagna. This is a cottage cheese lasagna. There are 2 types of lasagna. Well, there's 2 types of meat lasagna. There's cottage cheese lasagna and there's bechamel lasagna. Now there are many arguments and many tribes who have battled to the death and fought wars over which one's better. Now, I'll probably do a bechamel lasagna video in the future, so you can judge for yourself after you make both of them. But this happens to be a cottage cheese one, partly because it's easier. You don't have to make 2 sauces, you just have to mix a bunch of cheese in a bowl. With the spinach, you can definitely omit that. I think it tastes great and it adds a little bit of vegetable to your lasagna, which makes it feel like not quite as bad for you. Okay, so the layers go as follows. Bolognese, noodles, cheese, spinach. Bolognese, noodles, cheese, spinach. Noodles, bolognese, noodles, cheese mix. Noodles, cheese mix, mozza. Speaking of mozza, if you're not lactose intolerant like me, then don't buy the crappy stuff that has all the anti-caking agents in it and get some real mozzarella. You can basically make epic homemade lasagnas and freeze them and then use them like you would just one that you bought from the supermarket or something like that. Except they're better because you made them and you're awesome. For one of these, I'm going to put the lid on and snuggle it real good and tight and check it in my freezer for another day so that I can cook an easy lasagna with no effort. Since these lasagnas are so girthy, I decided that I wanted to crimp up the edges so that the edges were a little bit taller so that when I put tin foil over it, it won't touch the cheese while it cooks. Smart. Then these big boys are ready for a 375 degree oven for 45 minutes with the foil and then 15 minutes without. Principle behind this is basically you want it to be completely melted, gooey, warm, hot throughout before you take the tin foil off, and then all you're doing is browning the cheese afterwards. To be honest, the most difficult part about cooking this lasagna is the 20 minutes between when you pull it out of the oven and when you're allowed to slice into it. And for those of you who weren't paying enough attention, here's a recap. Thanks for watching. Bolognese, noodles, cheese, spinach. Bolognese, noodles, cheese, spinach. Noodles, bolognese, noodles, cheese mix. Noodles, cheese mix, mozza.